Hello, everybody. Welcome to Government Secrets. I'm in an undisclosed location wearing my Rockfin shirt. We're going to bring Leon in a quick second from Rad Indie Media. And of course, Kate, our moderator. I hope everybody can see and hear me okay. And please hit the like button, share this out on. We're streaming live on Facebook and Rockfin and YouTube, obviously. So hit the like button, citizens of Gotham. I just shared this out on my Twitter, as has Lee. So do that. I'm in an undisclosed location in California because I'm doing shows. Ron and I are doing our shows this weekend in San Francisco and Sacramento, the 11th and 12th. And then we're doing Flappers on Wednesday, the 15th. And then Lee and I are doing Government Secrets on the 18th. So check that out, everybody. And I'm going to do, let's see. I'm just getting stuff together for our shows. Boo, boo, boo. Let me get this ready. Yeah, share this out and go to grandmama.com for tour dates. That will help all of our things that we're doing. We're going to be talking about two different topics today, and I'm just getting that all organized. I'm staying in a buddy's place, and so I'm just trying to figure out their Wi-Fi, and that was a little thing we had to get figured out. Anyway, all right, let's get this done here. Boom. All right. I think Lee's ready. No, his camera just went off. Lee, are you okay? Are you dying inside? I mean, that might be true, but is your Wi-Fi dying? Is your Wi-Fi dying, Lee? There he is. Okay. Lee Cam.
All right. Let's hope this stops cutting off on me.
I know. What's up, buddy? Are you having a Operation CIA something in your Wi-Fi cam?
Apparently. To answer your question, I am dying inside, but I'm enjoying the show. So...
Folks, if you're dying inside, welcome to Government Secrets, where we laugh because we're dying inside. We're dying inside as a nation, as a planet, and as a species, but who says we can have fun in the meantime?
I like your new location. I also like that you're a little bit above the camera because I feel like when people wanted to feel like you were towering over them a little more.
Well, they should. They should feel intimidated by my presence, both virtually and physically.
I'm sure they are. I'm sure they are.
I played high school football. Anyway,
you have a Rockfin t-shirt? Oh, man.
Yeah.
Is that what you get if you like, get to 20,000 subscribers or something? They're like, you've won a t-shirt.
Yeah, that's right. I've got 30,000 subscribers on Rockfin, and all they gave me was this last.
There you go.
Come on, buddy.
Listen, I won't deny that I'm going to work, I'd say 17% harder now that I know there's a t-shirt involved.
That's such a definable number. It's 17% more work you're going to put in for a t-shirt.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
18%, you go fuck yourself, unless it's a hoodie. If it's a hoodie, you might get 18%.
I'll need a collared shirt for to get 20% and up. Yeah.
I need a little tiny shoulder pocket before I'm working 20% extra.
Dude, I was going through my suitcase after we talked today, and I think I forgot to bring my t-shirt with the tiny pocket for
I thought you had like 3 of them.
I only have the one. I'm going to go to Ross and and buy and find. I will find the shirt as my hand to God.
Look up the Ross CEO. Tell him the situation. Tell him it's dire.
If we could have a one pocket shirt choppered in, airlifted into.
Tell him you have nowhere to keep your one condom that you always have with you.
Like, where does that?
Ironically, if you actually kept the one condom in that pocket, that's the moment that she decides you won't need it. when you reach in your tiny pocket, she's like, you know what? Never mind.
That if that's not sexy, hey lady, are we getting along? Yeah. I keep one pocket. I always just like to keep one condom on my shoulder just in case, you know.
Well, for emergencies, but also it keeps the shoulder protected. So yeah.
I put it over my vaccine jab. Just to...
Dude, shoulder TDs, which I like to call STDs, are prevalent in our society.
Shoulder TDs.
Yes. You got to have the condom there.
Yeah.
Which is funny because then the Christian side hug is actually more dangerous than sex. So,
oh God, it's well, people are dying from it. I think I just realized too that I have yet again misnumbered. I've said this is episode 54, which was last week.
Oh, Jesus.
Episode 55. This show.
Can we tell people you're dyslexic just to get some sympathy for this? Or
I think we just got to say I'm dumb. I think we just got to come forward and say Graham's dumb and he can't do this yet.
But it's weird because it's like a dire need to insert and talk about the episode number and yet also get it wrong every week. Like if I were you, I would have given up on the episode number months ago. But you are every week you're like, I am saying this fucking number.
You know, you've even said, hey Graham, maybe we just scrap the number and we just talk about the subject matter. I'm like, no, Lee, we are doing this. As God is my witness, we are doing this, Lee.
Listen, if you're not going to do something half right, then why do it at all?
If you can't split your focus over way too many things to where you're always kind of late and kind of fucking everything up, then I don't know. I don't know what the purpose of your life is.
It's how I do everything.
Oh, this is fantastic. Are you excited for our live show next week?
Oh man, I really am though. I think it'll be a fucking good time. For those of you in or near Los Angeles, hope you'll come and join us at the live Government Secrets, the first ever live Government Secrets, the first ever time Lee Camp at least is performing since the pandemic began.
Are you for real? This is your first live show since the pandemic?
Yeah, man.
No way.
I've had a lot of TV shows, but there's no audience. Unless you count the poor, boom mic guy who's just sick of me being like, that was funny, right? Please leave me alone. Can you just leave me alone?
Yeah, Lee, I know the deep state. Got it. Haha. Can I get out of here, please? Wow, well, this is fantastic. I'm really excited. And you and I haven't seen each other in 2 years or something.
Yep.
When was the last time we saw each other?
Yeah, the Ventura show in Ventura, in California. Yeah.
Which was like fall of 2019 or summer of 2019 or something?
Yeah, fall of 2019. I don't remember which month. But yeah.
Well, perfect, buddy. I'm thoroughly excited. And just for the audience, Lee and I were discussing some special secret plans for the show, like a fun intro. And then Lee's got a government secret that he's not even going to tell me. So it's going to be a super double government secret.
I mean, I don't, this is more test. This is not, maybe we should make it a theme of the show that we don't know each other's secrets, but because it's really just a fact that we don't do any producing. that we haven't told each other what we're covering. So really every time it's exciting. I mean, you often are like, I covered Operation Mongoose, and I'm like, I've never heard of it. And you're like, here we go. So there's no pre-production meeting that happens.
I think that's the beauty of this show. There's no pre-production meeting. There's like an email or two, like, hey, or a text, like, do you want to, you want to go 6 o'clock? Yeah, sure. Okay. I'm going to cover this, I think. And I'm like, oh, cool. I'll find something by 6 o'clock. And then, that's how we do the show.
And this week was, well, it was easy to pick a subject. It wasn't easy to research the subject, but the small, easy time. Here's the thing. Last week, we covered something really dense and kind of scary about how the government and big oil basically worked together to cause the disaster after Hurricane Katrina, flooding New Orleans. I mean, they didn't want that to happen, but they didn't mind that it happened, and they knew it was coming at some point. And this week I figured, that was a rough one. It was a dark one. Let's go light. Let's go 9/11.
Let's go 9/11.
So, let's just take it a little easier this time.
This will be fine. People don't have strong reactions either way to this subject, so it'll be fine.
Right.
We won't. It's great. If we could somehow weave in the vaccines into this, then we could really just have like a really light, mellow, easy week.
It is 20 years since 9/11, which makes us all feel ancient. And
well, do we want to do your thing? Do we want to do the night? Let's do the 9/11 one first, because then we'll have a kind of a palate cleanser with my CIA Operation Easy Chair.
Yeah. We might need the palate cleanser.
Right.
20 years.
One. I don't have a microphone here to go into do the thing.
Oh man.
So
this government secrets first segment 9/11.
I think that was excellent. The visual was kind of disturbing, but I think the audio was
weird. This is like that nobody needs to see. You know what I mean? On any level. This is like a Saw movie.
It's pretty rough, but I think the fact that you just did that is a positive, because there's some certain cavities we need to tell you to get taken care of, but it's good we got to analyze that. So
please watch the show for dentistry needs.
So 20 years of 9/11 makes everybody feel fucking 900 years old. I don't know if maybe there's some people young enough. They're like, I don't even remember it. But for the most part, it makes us all feel ancient. Also, just to make people feel better, it's just so you know, Home Alone came out closer to the Vietnam War than it did to today. So just so you feel good about yourself. Is this the moment when Graham? We already hit the moment where Graham gets silent and disturbed.
Well, I just had my hair cut, and no matter how short I cut my hair, I still have a lot of gray hair.
You thought shorter was going to make it darker?
I don't know. You know what I mean? I was hoping. I got to get full hair plugs. I mean, that's the other thing. I hope crypto goes through the roof, because I'm just going to buy full hair plugs. And since I've already sold out to Big Pharma, I'm sure they'll pay for it.
Yeah, I earlier today we chatted, and I informed you that in order to sell out to Big Pharma, you had to get some money from Big Pharma. So
I was like, oh, this isn't.
You did the selling out wrong, Graham. You did it wrong. So let's get into some 9/11 here.
Let's do it.
I'm sure there are plenty of government secrets. There's plenty of disturbing stuff that we're going to get into. I'm sure I'm going to piss off some people, because I don't actually, or at least let's just say I haven't seen any evidence that Bush was putting charges in the towers at like midnight the night before.
Right.
But there's a lot of disturbing shit that we're going to get into. And I mean, yeah, we got into some of it back. I believe it was episode 9. If people want to go back and listen to that one as well. Episode 9, we did the 28 pages that were revealed from the 9/11 report after, like, they revealed them after whatever, 17, 16 years after 9/11.
Well, we number the episodes.
It's a good thing we number the episodes. Well, you did much better back when we were in single digits. So
when we break 100, I'm gonna lose my shit. That's 3 numbers in a row. I won't. It'll be mayhem.
Let's see. I'm trying to share this headline here. So part of this, I am going to mention that some of these sources are literally mainstream media, and the reason for that is I want people to see that this has even been admitted to by mainstream media. That doesn't mean everything I'm going to cover is mainstream media, but so here's CNN talking about the 28 pages that alleges. Let's say I love that they use the word alleges in there. It reveals Saudi ties to what happened in 9/11. So 9/11 occurs and several things occur immediately afterwards, such as the fact that they flew the bin Ladens out of the country, not Osama bin Laden, but many other members of his family, which the Bushes were quite close with. Let's see, I have that headline as well. But so, and that was even talked about as long back as, let's see, where is this one? As far back as Fahrenheit 9/11, Michael Moore had it in his movie about how the bin Ladens were ushered out of the country immediately after, and that's CBS News right there, immediately after after 9/11, the day after, when no flights were allowed to be flying. So literally nothing's in the air, and the bin Laden family is in the air. Just flying around the country, just enjoying the open skies. You know, sometimes you just want to get loose.
You know, you just I'm all about to seize the opportunity. So nobody's flying this. They literally, planes are not allowed to fly unless they're military aircraft, but we can. So we should go do it.
Take advantage of it.
When are you going to get to do this again? This is a once in a lifetime opportunity to be flown out of a country that has sealed off its skies.
Yeah. Well, it was really once in a lifetime. So that is a huge kind of initially a government secret. Then it becomes revealed, and I mean, what it says about even just what that says about our government, about what was going on, is fucking like incredible corruption, connections. I mean, they didn't even take the time to interrogate these people. Let's for the benefit of the doubt, let's assume for the moment. And by the way, I'll change this in a minute, so the listeners don't freak the fuck out. Let's assume for a moment that the Bushes and them, all the elite oligarch team had no idea anything was going to happen at all. Still, the fact that you wouldn't stop and interrogate the family of the guy who you think did it is like insanity, unless you are incredibly corrupt and don't even care if 3,000 people just died. You just want to help your oligarch friends get out of the country.
Yeah, they don't even brought into questioning. Now, I haven't done this in a while, but it's sort of like with regards to Epstein, how like all these people named, the Clintons, Prince Andrew, Trump, how come none of them have been questioned? Like, you would at least question it. And if something like this happened to regular people, if a family member of yours or mine were implicated in a massive terrorist attack, I'm pretty sure you and I would be questioned. I'm pretty sure there might be a
like, even if it was, and people go, oh, well, Osama bin Laden was, removed from his family because they disagreed politically. It's like, even so, if I had a brother who killed, let's decrease it, 2,000 people. If my brother had killed 2,000 people, I feel like they would bring me in and be like, let's chat.
I think they might. I think if your brother killed 200 people, they might go, hey, Lee, if your brother killed 20 people, they might come in and go, and by the way, actually, we'll pick you up. We're going to kind of just go through your laptop just to kind of see how that's, we're going to go through your phone records. We're going to see if there was anything, even if they find you are 100% clueless, had no idea what your brother was doing, they're still going to go, did your brother send you something? Did he email you? And you were like, oh, whatever, it's not some crazy pyramid scheme for my brother again. And you're like, oh, no, this was his plans to blow this thing up and kill all these people. They would be asking all of these questions to anyone they would be constant. I mean, it's insane to me, not to mention the biggest attack on American soil since Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
They just sort of like were there family members of the Japanese Empire that just got to fly around the Hawaiian Islands after December 7th, 1941? No?
Yeah.
Okay. Like they put Japanese Americans, they put them in camps just for being Japanese.
Who had no connection to anything.
They were American citizens. They paid taxes. They owned businesses. And they took their land and put them in camps. But the bin Ladens, if I understand this correctly, according to CNN and CBS, were flown out of the country with the protection and green light from the American government. Okay, that seems reasonable. Yeah, I get it.
And think about how tough it is for like me to get through TSA just because I have like a beard. I mean, meanwhile, the bin Laden family escorted private jets.
It's like, dude, my TSA pre just lapsed and I had to reapply for it. So I just flew and I had to go through regular security or I had to take my shoes off and I'm, and no one at TSA watches my YouTube show. So nobody cares what I talk about. So it really,
I'm sticking by I decided to make a stance after 9/11 that I was that I was going through all of their shit and I'm going to make it just as slow and awful as possible for them as can be. And so I go through it every time. I opt out of the fucking scanner and they have to pat me down and it all takes longer for me, but it's also a subtle fuck you to them. So I don't know who I'm getting with this, but I'm getting someone. I'm fucking over someone. I don't even know who it is. It's a poor kid who's got to touch my balls.
Yeah, he's got to touch your balls with the back of his hand. I like that creepy where they like back. It's the weird. I'd rather have him just flat out jerk me off than that fucking weird thing. Like,
I mean, many of them I've asked if they'll at least take me out to dinner beforehand, and none of them have said yes.
What I always, anytime I've had to do that, we're like, oh, you won extra security or whatever
you won. Yeah, well, as white guys, you know why they put us in the extra security line is so that they can pat down like 19, Arab guys and then act like it's random.
Oh, totally
so
random.
They'll have the one white guy in there that they'll be like, look, it's random.
See? I always typically, if a guy's patting I always at least go, oh yeah. You
gotta.
Like the back of his head or something. Just go, oh.
Pat the back of his head. They love that. And then go, I can't even get my dog to do this.
Oh.
They like that.
Or I'll just say like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Or something like that. You know what I mean?
So, all right. So obviously that's a big scandal. The 28 pages is a big scandal. But there is something to be said for the fact that the 28 pages is a bit of a limited hangout, which we've talked about this term before. It doesn't mean it's fake. It means it is something that has been revealed, that is a reality that's uncomfortable for the American government or the American intelligence services to be allied with the country that clearly helped fund, at the very least, the 9/11 attacks. And
so just to clarify for the audience, let's just real quick. The 28 pages is showing all of our basically ties to Saudi Arabia and that how the pilots, they knew they were tracking these pilots from Saudi Arabia.
No,
right?
Yeah, not our ties, but the ties of certain members of the Saudi Arabian government. Now, the Saudi Arabian theocracy has different, components, and some of them fucking hate each other. But certain portions of them helped fund some of the hijackers, and they knew that back when they were writing the 9/11 report. Clearly, I mean, years ago, and yet it was redacted. It was covered up. They, thought it would hurt our relationship because we have a nice weapons deal relationship and many other geopolitical agreement with Saudi Arabia, and they give us lots of oil and things like that. And so they thought it would hurt the agreement with that, our work with them, and et cetera, et cetera. And that's all true. It was bad enough when it came out, but it would have been bad in the view of most Americans. Like, it would have been fucking catastrophic if it come out right as everyone was still frothing at the mouth after 9/11. But so it's not that that's not true. It's that there may be a lot more to it in that how much the U.S. knew. And by the U.S., I mean the Bush administration, this upper echelon of oligarchs. How much did they know as to what was going to happen? Another thing that is fairly commonly known, which you can find mainstream media articles on this as well, is that Bush was given at least one, maybe more briefings about bin Laden being determined to attack within the U.S. They knew something was going to happen, and yet they seem to have done absolutely nothing about it. And you have, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, yeah, and that to me is the most compelling evidence. I agree that, like, did George Bush like plant dynamite in the trade towers and boom? No. I think what the most plausible thing is they knew this was going to happen and just allowed it to happen, and just so that could justify it. Like, you know, and I've been trying to find, because I'd love to do a government secret on this. Just there's always been speculation that FDR knew the attack on Pearl Harbor was going to happen, and he kind of let it happen. And I'll try to find more research on this to cover this. But, like, you know, he pulled senior military leadership out of Oahu, you know, days and weeks leading to that.
And so a lot of people nowadays, we view World War II and it was like, oh my God, it was so horrible, we had to go in. But in fact, most of America did not want to go to war. Oh. And although the government may have known what was going on within the Holocaust, your average American didn't know any of those details yet. And I hope they would have cared. Who knows whether they would have cared. But and so in order to basically get into World War II, you kind of needed an attack. So,
yeah. And I think, yeah, that makes the most sense to me, is that they're like needed it justified, you know, FDR was like, oh, great. Now most Americans did not want to go to World War II. Oh, now they do after Pearl Harbor. And most Americans, I mean, you got to understand too, the thing that makes the most sense to me in terms of just like, I always like to say on my show, follow the money, connect the dots, get the truth, right? So the peak of global military spending was 1980, right? The peak of the Cold War. The lowest time since 1980 was the year 2000. Was the lowest in military spending. And then
after the 91 collapse of the Soviet Union, our military budget started going down because we didn't have that great powerful enemy anymore. And there were many, and I'm going to get into this, who were very upset about that. in the ruling elite, who needed to find a reason to turn that around. The decrease in military spending, decrease in a desire for belligerency around the world by Americans. Your average American did not want war or support war with anyone at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why, you know, to me, like, if you can prove that they, you know, whatever, the saying like, well, there's no way a building would collapse that way. We've talked to these engineers. I don't know. Have they done simulations on airplanes going into the trade towers for 20, 30 years? I just, that to me, maybe not. It's hard to say, but what is certain is they knew these attacks were coming and allowed them to happen. And then when that did happen, the facts are there's evidence to show they knew they were happening. They got all these intelligence briefings, and the facts are they flew the bin Laden family out after 9/11. And then we have been in a 20-year global war on terror that has cost anywhere from $5 to $10 trillion, maybe more, because so much of the military budget gets hidden. Those facts are all there. I mean, and that is enough to go, they at least knew.
And
yeah, and I'm going to flesh out some of this real quick, and we're going to get to Building 7 in a minute. But so, like you're talking about, there was a group of neocons that very much were talking about how do we go back to the level of belligerence, level of war, level of military spending that we had. What do we do without that great, powerful enemy that kept Americans scared and in line and allowed us to just fucking dump trillions of dollars into the military that they could both funnel into their own pockets and use to really control a global empire? And so one of the biggest groups that was talking about this was the Project for the New American Century, which was, or PNAC for short, which was, and again, this is the Wikipedia version, so this is the sanitized version of what they were, but was a neoconservative think tank based in D.C. that focused on U.S. foreign policy, established as a nonprofit educational organization in 1997. Kind of like how if you tell someone to shoot someone else, you're being an educator. You're a teacher. Like, point that gun at him and kill him. I educated that man.
Look, I think Jeffrey Dahmer was a cooking enthusiast.
And so it was founded by Bill Kristol and Robert Kagan, who are two, they pop up in everything, especially Kagan, but Kristol as well. They're like the architects of a lot of our endless war, fucking endless killing. And Kristol, if this shows you how the mainstream media has shifted or headed, Bill Kristol is now a paid contributor for MSNBC. So Bill Kristol and Kagan are these neocons in the Project for a New American Century, but it gets even better. Their goal was to promote American global leadership, and they wanted to build support for a Reaganite policy of military strength and, quote, moral clarity. Yeah, that's called immoral clarity. But get this, of the 25 people who signed PNAC's founding statement of principles, 10 went on to serve in the administration of George W. Bush, including Dick Cheney, Rumsfeld, and Paul Wolfowitz.
Lee, I think that's just a wacky coincidence. I think these guys in PNAC are just like good, young, upstart Christian American patriots who just learned some good, valuable work skills, and they probably all have really good LinkedIn pages.
What I heard you just say is fucking killers. Is that what you said? That's what I heard.
Yes, I actually did give you the sanitized version of.
You gave me the Wikipedia version.
I gave you the Wikipedia version of. This group is full of a bunch of bloodthirsty psychos.
Yeah.
That would skull fuck a puppy if it turned to profit.
Yep. The initial name for PNAC was skull fuck a puppy, and they changed it at the last minute. Like press releases were already printed. They had like the vinyl backdrops made, and they changed it.
That was actually the name of my Cub Scout troop. Was skull fuck a puppy.
That actually explains so much about you, Graham.
No, as I've said before, it's taking me to Dachau when I was 5. That's really what that's. And growing up in an alcoholic household, but taking me to Dachau when I was 5, that explains it. That was not my doing, and this is why. But again, Nessie for mayor. Anyway, go ahead.
Nessie for mayor. PNAC played a key role in shaping the foreign policy of the Bush administration. You think Dick Cheney? He fucking ran the Bush administration, you cunts. So, particularly in building support for the Iraq War. I mean, is there a better way to say in manufacturing American consent to obliterate the people of Iraq? So anyway, yeah, so that's the sanitized version of what PNAC is, but at least people know what it is now. But they were quoted, or their early papers were quoted in saying, along with Zbigniew Brzezinski, who played a big role in a lot of the global theory and things like that these people were following.
And should be noted, a member of Carter's cabinet.
Yep.
So I know us lefties like to say Carter was like the one lone outlier president. He did some okay things, but he still had Zbigniew Brzezinski in his cabinet, who really pushed to get us kind of to, I don't know how you phrase it, but was totally okay with the Soviet Union invading Afghanistan. So we, you know what I mean? Like,
oh, he wanted to make it their Vietnam. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, here's the thing is like these insane ideas, like let's invade Iraq and kill 1 million people. Let's invade Afghanistan and be there for basically ever in order to suck trillions of dollars, out of America and put it into the pockets of the elite and things like that. Like there do need to be intellectual architects to these like fucking master villainy. Like someone's got to sit down and jot this shit down. And that is Brzezinski. It is the people at the Project for a New American Century. It's Bill Kristol. It's Robert Kagan. And also should be noted, Brzezinski, the father of Mika Brzezinski, who, again, hosts an MSNBC show, Morning Joe. So, the people who basically laid out the plan for America to become a global empire that kills millions of people and it steals trillions of dollars in a much larger way than was being done in the early 90s, and even much of the Reagan administration. Those people now they work at MSNBC. So anyway, they in some of their documents that for these various plans, they say in order to get the stuff done that they want to get done, we need a Pearl Harbor type event. And they say this stuff cannot really be done without a Pearl Harbor type event. And so you take that and you line it up with why would these people want to know that some sort of terrorist attack is going to take place and be willing to look the other way? Now that all adds up. It makes a lot of sense. The attack was obviously used to invade multiple countries. And much of that went into play immediately after 9/11. General Wesley Clark, as we've mentioned before, said that it revealed years later that he went to the Pentagon in the days after 9/11, and they immediately told him that he ultimately ran for president as a Democrat, right? But they immediately told him that they were going to invade 7 countries in 5 years. So why would they know that immediately after 9/11? Why would they say these 19 scrappy assholes attack the U.S. and we're going to invade 7 countries in 5 years? Because these plans were already sitting there ready to go, waiting for the proper time to put them into use. It allowed them to crush our civil liberties even more than they had before. It allowed them to kill people indiscriminately around the world. It allowed them to lock people up like Guantanamo Bay without a trial or charges. All of this, invasion of privacy, wiretaps. So, I mean, now they just search all of our phone data. All of this was allowed and manufactured the consent for via 9/11. But that doesn't mean they brought down the towers. It can very much mean that they were, and we now know, watching these ultimately terrorists at flight schools. They knew they were in the U.S. And again, to show you how much even the mainstream media has revealed, I'll show you another headline here from ABC. The CIA didn't share info about 9/11 hijackers. Now, what they're talking about is the CIA were the ones that really knew that these, high-level Al-Qaeda members were in the U.S. At least a few of them were being monitored at flight schools. Some of them had even had contact with, or one I think had lived with an FBI informant. And so they knew a lot of what was going on. And the CIA, and this is kind of even more key because because what this article says and what you could take away from it is, well, the CIA is inept. They knew there were Al-Qaeda members in the U.S. They failed to follow them correctly. They failed to know what was happening. That's what this article, I think, tries to say, or basically tries to say. But the reality of it is that the CIA actively stopped the FBI from finding out about these things, like went out of their way to make sure the FBI didn't know. And that speaks to the fact that the CIA was probably in line with these plans to allow something to happen. Whereas the FBI, working largely separately, was not in the loop about let's let these things happen.
Which, after 55 episodes of this show, I'm really perplexed that the CIA would be in the middle of tangling this up and keeping people in the dark and being held accountable by no one. I just flee every episode. This is I can't imagine. It's almost like JFK, who we know now, thanks to Google, was killed by a mysterious bullet by Lee Harvey Oswald. It's almost like he was saying crazy stuff when we should have scattered the CIA into 1,000 pieces and scattered it into the dust. It's like,
yeah, and it's almost like Truman, who signed the CIA into a creation, wrote a Washington Post op-ed saying they'd gone rogue and that they were very dangerous.
This is the Truman that the Democratic Party muscled in over Henry Wallace in the 1940 Democratic Convention.
If was that, I don't know what the year was, but otherwise correct. Yes,
that's
right. Could you put us back to the big screen? I like to see myself big time. So you weren't looming over me as much, and it was disconcerting.
Lee Camp, do my bidding.
And by the way, there had also been a previous terrorist attack on the towers, right, in 1993. So it wasn't like they didn't know the towers were a target either.
And there wasn't probably a bunch of like studies and possible threats, how they could attack again or anything like that. I'm sure they just went, well, they tried. They're not going to try again.
So a couple more quick things, and then we'll wrap up this topic. Although, many are going to be like, why didn't you talk about such and such? It's like, dude, we could spend 18 hours talking about 9/11. So I'm trying to shrink it down to a few key points. In terms of Flight 93, in my view, there is plenty upon plenty of evidence that it's pretty clear that they shot it the fuck out of the sky. Which also supports the view that they knew something was going to happen, but they didn't know exactly what. And so after the first two flights at the towers, and then this flight was headed towards DC, they were like, But anyway, I want to read you some. So this is from an article in The Independent, which is a pretty mainstream. They do some great content sometimes, but they're a fairly mainstream outlet. But they're willing to go places that most of the corporate media is not. Kind of like The Guardian used to be until The Guardian was captured after WikiLeaks was attacked. But
yes.
So this is quotes from their article. For Flight 93, the wide displacement of the plane's debris, in order to one explanation for that would be an explosion of some sort prior to the crash. Letters from Flight 93, because it was carrying 7,500 pounds of mail. Letters and other papers from the plane were found 8 miles away from the scene of the crash. A section of one engine weighing 1 ton was found 2,000 yards away from the rest of the plane, which is consistent with an impact. So the rest of the plane, which is consistent with an impact occurring at 500 miles per hour, disintegrated into pieces no bigger than 2 inches long. Meaning most of the plane disintegrated into tiny, tiny fragments, which is what happens when you hit at 500 miles an hour. But a entire engine basically was found 2,000 yards away because it was likely.
I mean, I think let's not get too crazy here. I think it's pretty obvious that the engine was just trying to do its job of deliver the mail on time, and so that's why
Listen, that engine was diehard. It was like, I don't care if the plane's going down. These letters are getting to these people
through rain or sleet or snow or terrorist attack or government blowing up its own airlines. I mean, through dark of night, whatever, we're going to deliver the mail on time.
Grandma Nana's postcard is going to get to those kids. If it's the last thing I do.
If it's the last thing I do. So it makes sense.
Other remains of the plane were found 2 miles away near a town called Indian Lake. All of these facts were widely disseminated and confirmed by the coroner, Wally Miller. So where were the jets that the American government apparently scrambled to hunt down Flight 93 after the first planes had hit the Twin Towers? What the government acknowledges is that the first fighters with the mission to intercept took off at 8:52 a.m., that another set of fighters took off from Andrews Air Force Base near Washington at 9:35 a.m., precisely the time that Flight 93 turned almost 180 degrees off course towards Washington. Flight 93 did not go down for another 31 minutes. Apart from the logical conclusion that at least one Air Force F-16, 120 miles away in Washington at 9:40 a.m., meaning 10 minutes away from Flight 93, or less if it went into supersonic speed, should have reached it well before 10:06 when it crashed. There is this evidence from a federal flight controller published a few days later in a newspaper in New Hampshire that an F-16 had been in hot pursuit of the hijacked United jet and, quote, must have seen the whole thing. Meaning you had a jet on its tail and that the U.S. government has not acknowledged was there. Also, there was one brief report on CBS television before the crash that 2 F-16 fighters were tailing Flight 93. Vice President Dick Cheney acknowledged 5 days later that President Bush had authorized the Air Force pilots to shoot down the hijacked commercial aircraft. So, and then that also was covered in Politico, a Politico article covered, and many other outlets have covered that Dick Cheney said it had been authorized to shoot down the flight. But
Cheney said, though, make sure you shoot it in the back of the head and then get the plane.
And then after he shot the flight, he got the flight to apologize to him.
Like Flight 93 apologized?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. But it didn't, they apparently decided after I assume after they shot the flight down that it didn't look good. They didn't want to answer questions about why they killed all those people. And so they were like, well, let's say that they were heroes and they knocked the flight into the ground. Because, you know, it only takes how many minutes to knock a flight into the ground? But anyway, so that's what they claim, but that also doesn't add up with the phone call evidence. So I guess because this flight was flying low enough, the people were able to get phone calls out. Also, this was a time when they had the phones in the back headrests.
Right.
So there's many calls to loved ones that went out, and they used these in like documentary evidence and stuff to be like, you know, here are the calls from loved ones, and then they decided to take over the plane. And that sounds really nice and heroic and makes people feel good. But one telephone call from the doomed plane is not included in these movies and TV shows and documentaries about Flight 93 or in the U.S. media for the most part, except for the Associated Press, which covered it soon after 9/11. They reported on 9/11, sorry, that 8 minutes before the crash, a frantic male passenger called a 911 emergency number. He told the operator, named Glenn Kramer, that he had locked himself inside one of the plane's bathrooms. Kramer told the AP in a report that was widely broadcast on 9/11, because this is like before the talking points get handed out, so they're kind of reporting everything they get. Kramer told the AP that the passenger had spoken for 1 minute and said, quote, we're being hijacked, we're being hijacked. The man screamed into the mobile phone. He confirmed that several times, and we asked him to repeat what he said. He was very distraught. He said he believed the plane was going down. he did hear some sort of an explosion and saw white smoke coming from the plane, but he didn't know where. And then we lost contact with him. And according to the information that's been made known, this is the last of various phone calls made from the plane. No more calls were received from the plane in the 8 minutes that remained after the man in the bathroom said that he heard an explosion. Now, you see how this adds up. If they have several phone calls from people on that plane, yet they all stop 8 minutes before the crash. Why would they all stop 8 minutes before the crash? One is they got hit with a fucking missile or whatever it is that is used to shoot down a plane. And therefore, the plane depressurizes. They lose oxygen. A lot of them probably either pass out or put on their masks. Or it fills with smoke and they fucking can't breathe and etc. But that would explain why all the calls would end at 8 minutes. It would also explain why a guy who had just heard an explosion then says that on the phone and then they lose contact with him.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it also
it all adds up.
It also could be that the missile hit. I mean, they know how to target I would assume how to target to where the plane got hit and the communications are knocked out, or
maybe, but it would explain why
it got hit where the electricity on the plane, got knocked, whatever. Not that they surgically tried to take out the communications, but if the plane got hit, then all the electricity in the plane goes out. I mean,
I would imagine at that speed, they're probably either shooting for the mass or it's heat seeking and it shot the engine off, which
right
would explain why you'd have an engine is the only large piece that survived the crash. But so last quick thing, neither the FBI nor anyone else in authority has explained the reported 911 phone call from the bathroom, even though it appears to be the last of the phone calls made from the plane, and even though it conveys the far from insignificant fact that there was an explosion. The FBI has confiscated the tape of the conversation, even though all the other phone calls are like heralded as like, look, listen to this. It's, this is the amazing heroes and how traumatic it was. That phone call was confiscated. And the operator, Glenn Kramer, has received orders not to speak to the media anymore. What do you think those orders looked like? Do you think they were friendly? Do you think they were like, we would just love it if you just like stopped talking?
I bet you there was like cookies with the orders. They made cookies. Hey, Glenn, can you eat some more cookies and not talk about all this crazy plain stuff? And he would like, sure thing. These are delicious. I'm sure it went something along those lines.
Yeah, I mean, and they gave him a pet horse head in his bed. Like just a bunch of lovely gifts.
A pet horse head.
He found his dog in his fireplace, and just a bunch of little interesting gifts.
Yeah, his cat was nailed to the wall or something like that with a stop talking, and he went, "Oh, this is cute," or whatever, or just an envelope with his kids playing.
Yeah, just a photo taken from a bush next to his kids playing.
Yeah, just saying, "Hey, stop talking," and he was like, "Okay, goodbye, me." Or they just gave him a list of all the people, the eyewitnesses from the JFK thing that all just disappear. And they just sent him that list of just like all the people were like, no, we saw Lee Harvey out. None of that adds up. And then all those people had weird health issues.
Yep. Just a list of people that disappeared after the JFK assassination.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's Flight 93. And you can get that article. It's called Unanswered Questions, The Mystery of Flight 93 in The Independent. So one more quick bit about Building 7. And look, I would love to have certitude on all of these issues, every issue we ever bring up. But believe it or not, I won't speak for you, Graham, but I am human. And some things I don't fucking know. So I don't fucking know what the fuck happened to Building 7, but I do know that there was a large, let's see, here you go, University of Alaska Fairbanks did a structural reevaluation of the collapse of World Trade Center 7. And this is not a quick thing. It's a university study. It was done over 4 years. They worked on it from 2015 to 2019. And actually, I'll go ahead and play the video of World Trade Center 7 collapsing. I realize that for the audience, the radio audience, this won't make any sense, but
The radio audience.
Just picture it in your head. This is what it would feel like if you were actually viewing this.
And if you're listening, all right. If you're listening on your Philco radio and to all the ships at sea.
Looking like a Three Stooges movie covered with plastic. I swear to God. What are you gonna go do? That's some good shit. Then we went back there. Whoa!
But that is a 47 floor building collapsing pretty instantaneously, straight down. I'll read what this is just so you can go read the final report. Actually, if you Google this, University of Alaska Fairbanks, and you can read the final report. I'll just read the synopsis. This is a study of the collapse of World Trade Center Building 7. Oh, and I should have mentioned, well, maybe they'll say that. It collapsed hours after the jets hit the Twin Towers and knocked those down. So this was literally hours and hours afterwards. A 47-story building that suffered a total collapse at 5:20 p.m. on September 11th. Following the horrible events of that morning, the objective of the study was threefold. Examine the structural response of WTC-7 to fire loads that may have occurred. 2, rule out scenarios that could not have caused the observed collapse. And 3, identify types of failures and their locations that may have caused the total collapse to occur as observed. The University of Alaska Fairbanks research team utilized 3 approaches for examining the structural response of WTC-7 to the conditions that may have occurred. First, we simulated the local structural response to fire loading that may have occurred, which below floor 13, where most of the fires in World Trade Center 7 are reported to have occurred. So by fire loading, they just mean all the fires that had broken out internally. Those fires broke out because the World Trade Center collapsed next to it, which causes immense heat. So there were fires, but as you saw in that video, those fires were not engulfing the building like we saw with the, what was it called? Grenfell fire in London. But second, we supplemented our own simulation, computer simulation, by examining the collapse initiation hypothesis developed by the National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST. So NIST is kind of the official organization that said, yeah, that building collapsed because of fire. Third, the official government organization. Third, we simulated a number of scenarios within the overall structural system in order to determine what types of local failures and their locations may have caused the total collapse to occur as observed. The principal conclusion of our study is that fire did not cause the collapse of WTC-7, contrary to the conclusions of the NIST and private engineering firms that studied the collapse. The secondary conclusion of our study is that the collapse of WTC-7 was a global failure involving the near simultaneous failure of every column in the building. So that's the synopsis. And it basically, the conclusion they come to is that a building like that has never collapsed completely all at once from internal fire. A building apparently of that size has never collapsed from internal fire to begin with, but you don't see the thing engulfed in flames. So the argument has to be that internal fires weakened it to a degree that it's caused an instantaneous failure, which these folks in their 4-year study say is impossible. Now, again, I'm not saying I know what happened, and I can't come up with a conclusion because I'm not an engineer, but you know what the official story is, you know what this study said, and I'll let people take it from there. But
I think this is the janitor's fault. They didn't empty the trash cans, and
probably not.
All of the fires spread.
Also, they tell you not to hang heavy stuff from the drywall. Like if you put something too heavy, it can bust up the drywall. And so I think that might be. They notoriously had heavier posters like on the walls.
I think it's reasonable to say it was heavy artwork. I mean, we can just say it was heavy artwork.
I mean, the number of buildings that go down across the world from heavy artwork is. I stopped counting. I
don't hang anything on my walls anymore as a result of the heavy artwork.
Scourge.
Scourge.
Scourge is heavy artwork.
Scourge is heavy artwork.
Yeah. So some might say a pandemic.
I think a poster and on foam core is maybe the best you should go for, but I wouldn't go with heavy artwork. I mean, really,
I just finger paint the walls. That's anything beyond that makes me nervous. It's a lot. The decoration in my apartment is all hand turkeys. Just all hand turkeys. That is it.
Gobble, gobble, gobble.
Otherwise, I get very frightened.
Yeah, I think really as a society, we need to go more towards hand turkey art. I remember that was your fear.
We absolutely should go more towards hand turkey art. I mean, think about it. If the PNAC guys, if the Project for the New American Century had focused their passion towards hand turkeys instead of towards killing and massacres and exploiting and stripping away all of the rights of American citizens and enriching themselves and enriching their fellow oligarchs and crushing other countries and sending us off an ecological cliff, we'd be much better off.
Yeah, I mean, that's what my Green New Deal would consist of if I was president, is basically just turkey hand art. I mean, that's
turkey hand art for the war criminals.
I would like to lock up all of these evil oligarchs and these PNAC psychos and just make them have to do turkey hand art.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, man. Is
But,
that too much to ask? I feel like they say protesters don't have clear demands. That's a clear demand, and I don't think it's that much to ask.
that is the clearest of demands.
Yeah.
I'm going to run on turkey hand art for my next campaign, since I'm clearly running for so many people. Oh, God. All right. Do we have time to do mine, or do you got to get back to your turkey hand art class?
I have like 15 more minutes. Is that enough?
Sure. I can bang out an operation. I can bang out.
I know CIA operations like the back of my hand. See how I brought it back to hand art? See how I did that?
Well, and again, I found I was playing. We were actually going to do this one last month, and I found this one the good old fashioned way of just playing Operation Roulette, CIA Operation Roulette on a search engine, and I found this one. Operation Easy Chair. Now this was right a joint.
It's funny because I have heard of that, but for me that was when I take a 6-pack of beer and a bag of nachos, a bag of Cheetos, and I dump it all over my lap and I spend the day there.
I thought Operation Easy Chair was just what they've done using TV, media, and social media to make America just really stupid over the last 50 years.
Dude, that's the most brilliant operation. Honestly, the CIA spends all this time killing people and shit. All they had to do was just like quality TV content.
Just literally like Real Housewives is the most effective CIA operation I've ever had at just making Americans divided, distracted, and afraid.
Yeah, I guess I spoke too soon when I said quality TV content. Just middle-aged women with a lot of plastic surgery screaming at each other is all we needed.
Who doesn't need that more? So Operation Easy Chair was a joint covert operation of the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency and Dutch Internal Security Service, BVD, And the Dutch Radar Laboratory from 1958 to 1962, the goal of the operation was to place a covert listening device in the office of the Russian ambassador in The Hague.
The office of the Russian ambassador in The Hague?
So, named for the bug the CIA claimed to have found in a chair, the operation was a response to the discovery of the Thing, a passive covert listening device discovered in the Great Seal gifted to the American Embassy in Moscow by the
Dude, the number of gifts these folks exchange, always trying to put something inside of them. It's like, why would you ever take a gift
ever
from the United States or Russia or China or any of them? You'd have to be a fucking idiot. Like
this is right. Like, I don't work in international politics, let alone espionage. And I know the first time I ever read, probably in 2003, I know I'm not going to get any of this Nigerian lottery money. I know that's not going to happen. And yet I don't work for the State Department. I didn't go to PNAC. I wasn't trained on how to be evil. And I figured that out. So if anybody who's an adversary goes, hey, here's this gift, I'm not going to go, well, this will look great on this wall and hang it up. So, there's probably something weird in here. You know what I mean? Like, anybody gives me any.
This lifelike sex doll seems perfect for my office. She doesn't have a video camera in her eyeballs at all.
No. Oh, wow. It's a pimento loaf that they say you're supposed to eat through your anus. Okay, how could this go bad? I'm going to stick a pimento up my ass and see what happens. Like, how could this go bad? So mystifying, but let's go back. Oops, add to stream. Let's go back to, there it is, Operation Easy Chair. So, and again, our tax dollars went for this, which is great. The operation, resulted in the creation of several devices, notably Easy Chair Mark I, 1955, Mark II, 1956, and Mark III, 1958, and the Mark IV. But Lee, don't forget the Easy Chair Mark V. Now, for my money, Mark III.
Did each of these have better assets on them? Like, what was the difference between the Mark IV and the Mark V? Was it this one massages your balls? This one will actually get right between each toe.
The all-new Operation Easy Chair Mark IV with more wasted tax dollars. Like, what is the? I wish did they have ads like the all-new, like swooping in like a car or whatever, like.
The Mark III, I remember, like the soft spot on your elbow skin, it had a really good way of grabbing that. It would just pull that around, which was really enjoyable. I mean, that Mark III, I don't know why they ever left the Mark III, because I was really into that.
The Mark III was fine. It's like when you get some new software or something. It's like the old one was fine. I mean, the Mark IV was okay because it massaged your lower back and it had that thing that whispered in your ear that says, I think you're pretty. But, I mean,
the Mark V pulled your hair, which I was not into. Like, I wasn't into that. Or it would, if you push a button, it would give you free Jell-O pudding, but it would spray it all over you, which was not enjoyable, really.
Yeah, it should be an extra feature you could add if you want it, but I don't want it standard because, like, I'm not into that or whatever. Like, it would bite you. Remember, it would bite you and say, you're naughty. And I'd be like, well, I don't like being bitten. Like, I mean.
You didn't mention Mark VI, which did come out with a Gatling gun. That was the James Bond one that, if you're ever in your easy chair and find yourself in a fight with a, KGB agent.
Right. You definitely want a Gatling gun. You want outdated war technology.
You want a musket that fires on command. Wouldn't it be great if there was a push button musket? So you had the electric trigger, but it just shoved a musket in someone's face.
Yes. Why didn't they do this in the Mark VII? I don't get it. More great use of taxpayer dollars. Although initially they could not get the resonant cavity microphone to work reliably, several products involving passive elements were developed for the CIA as a result of the research. Oh, good. At least they got something good out of it. In 1965, the NRP finally got a reliable working pushed cavity resonator. I don't know what that means, but it sounds great. By that time, the CIA was no longer.
The Easy Chair had been missing that for a long time. Dude, I don't even talk about furniture without a pushed cabinet resonator. What was it?
Look, if you're gonna. I mean, back then it was an option, but now, I mean, I don't know how you can get away with selling any sort of loungewear that doesn't have a push cavity resonator.
Wait, push cavity?
Yes, pushed cavity.
That sounds very uncomfortable. If it's pushing into your cavities, you got to pay extra for that at most places. This
is like the early version of a colonoscopy. I think is what it was. It's just the push cavity resonator. So
they tried offering that gift to Putin once. They were like, "How about as a gift from us to you, a free colonoscopy?" And he was like, "I don't know.
I think I'm good. I think I'm good."
You know what? I just got 3 yesterday. I'm good.
I'm totally good. I have my own push cavity resonator, and I just.
When someone pushes in my cavity, it really resonates with me. So
you're so resonating my cavity right now. I really, nothing gets me hotter than a woman saying I'm resonating in her cavity. You know what I mean? It's just.
No, they are. A lot of women are into that.
Yeah. Which actually, this is just another name for like dick or dildo as a pushed cavity resonator. So.
Yep. Yes, it is.
Well, the reason they got rid of the push cavity resonator devices was because of the high levels of RF energy involved. So
that's the same reason that my ex-girlfriend got rid of me.
So to go through, and they have here, if you see, look, Easy Chair 1 had a passive element. Who knows what that means? The Easy Chair 2, again, United States tax dollars went for this. Added a two-way communication.
Hold on. Can I just say, I feel like this was in the CIA. There was a guy, and they kept, at the meetings, they kept being like, "What are you working on, Dan?" And he's like, "So I have this chair that pushes into your cavity, and it really just like resonates, like vibrates. And I'm still working on it. Dan, we don't need a chair that fucks a guy. We don't need that. No, listen, I just need to work on it a little more. Dan, you've been working on it for 3 years. I'm getting really close. And the howls we hear coming from that office are disturbing, Dan."
It literally feels like they put the guys from John Belushi and the guys from the Animal House crew in there. They were like making this because the Easy Chair 2 had two-way communication. So what do you need? You need this guy's ass to communicate to you when he's sitting in the chair? Like, what is the two-way communication? I thought it was a bugging device.
Well, you could find out what the Russian ambassador was eating.
Just what? How is this? So the communicate, like in the middle of them, like talking about Russian secrets, the chair goes, "I don't know, Sergey, maybe that's not a great idea." Like, what are you?
Let's not attack the United States. Yeah,
I don't think putting missiles in Cuba is such a hot idea. Like.
Did you just hear the chair say maybe we drop communism? Did the chair just say that? Yeah. I think was that the chair.
Maybe give Russia back to the oligarchs.
Was that the chair?
Sure. So, well, and then Easy Chair 3.
I do not like when my chairs speak to me. Not at all.
Well, the third one, they had an extended range. Okay. And then Easy Chair 4 had the high power. And then
everything you've said could could also go for a sex swing. Like every last detail.
Oh, wait till you get to Easy Chair 5. Was Easy Chair 5 was multi-channel. So it was a multi-channel sex swing in the Kremlin or whatever.
The nice thing is that the chairs traditionally are easy. They don't play hard to get. You can usually fuck a chair quite easy. They're always up for it.
Well, someone put in the chat, damn it, Sergey, your asshole collapsed the USSR. Oh, God. Every time we think the government hasn't wasted money on something dumber, we find out there were 5, count them, 5
variations
of this government sex swing that we put in the fucking Russian embassy in the Netherlands or whatever the fuck. Like,
in The Hague. Yeah.
In The Hague. So there's Operation Sex Swing, buddy, aka Operation Easy Chair.
I would love to know what. All right, this is going to sound like a pun, but what came of this? Because I would love to know what intel they ultimately got.
Yeah, they got the size of every Russian ambassador's butthole. They got that planted. They got that blueprinted. They got the schematics on that.
Can you imagine after 4 years, Dan comes in with the printout. He's like, we have the information. And they're like, we still don't understand why you needed to do this.
Dan, I think that we just paid you to just kind of work through your own fetishes, Dan. That's kind of what I feel like we just did. No, it works. We've got a two-way communicating sex swing.
I've graphed the results of butthole size for each Russian ambassador.
If you see the graph, it goes each time this guy's butthole. What then happens is then America's GDP goes up. So yeah, that's government secrets final segment.
It always gets better.
See, we needed this at the end of the 9/11. We needed this.
We did.
Ridiculous sex swing that they later abandoned. I'm sure they're still pulling data out from that.
All right, man. I gotta run, but yeah, everybody check out radindymedia.com. New episode of Redacted tonight just came out. All that's at leecamp.com. And our live show in Los Angeles is next weekend, the 18th. Hope you'll join us. Tickets on Graham's website and my website, leecamp.com. So hope to see you there.
Check out there's all leaves info, Rad Indie Media. Yeah, go to graml.com or leecamp.com to get the tickets for the 18th plus Ron Placona Night shows. So check all that out. Lee, I will see you, my friend, next week in sunny Southern California.
It's happening, man.
Fight the power, and I'm talking to Dynasty right now. We will have a sex swing on stage.
Dynasty also sounds like your favorite stripper. So
what's
Dynasty? Talking to Dynasty last night. And
yes, Dynasty, my favorite stripper, will be there. It's going to be great.
All right, man. See you soon.
All right, buddy.
Bye.
Wow. Check it out, everybody. Hit the like button. We're going to go over to Rockfin to answer any of the tips. Hello, everybody. Thanks for watching. God, I love doing that show. It's so fun. I just laughed my ass off talking to Lee. God damn it. So fun. Imagine that next week in front of a live audience. How fun that's going to be. So come to LA. James Xavier, Shave Your Knuckles for Justice. Thank you for supporting us at rockfin.com/Graham Elwood. Melissa H. What's up, Melissa? Save Your Knuckles for Justice. Always great to see you in the chat. We always learn so much when Graham gives another episode of Learn the Alphabet with the CIA. I'm telling you, CIA Operation Roulette is my favorite game. Oh God! So, Bill Nye, the highest guy, is going to put a fingerprint scanner on his ass. That's nice. This is great. Tony DeMeo, shave your knuckles for justice. You can support the show. We've been demonetized from YouTube for 7 months now. So go to rockfin.com/Graham Elwood and you can do what Tony DeMeo is doing. If Netflix offered you a sitcom deal, would you create a show about the wacky antics of the CIA? Absolutely. Absolutely. I would absolutely do that. I would love to do that. This was a lot of fun. All right, folks, this was a blast. I'll be back. I will be doing my Rockfin members only Monday night, 8 o'clock Pacific, 11 o'clock Eastern. And then we'll be live streaming in the studio next week as well, because I'm obviously traveling. But yeah, I'll be in the All Things Comedy studio next week, which is the 15th. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. So, this is great. Please come to all of our live shows tomorrow. Saturday, September 11th in San Francisco. Ron Placone and I will be performing at Cobb's Comedy Club. It's an afternoon show, 3 p.m. Tickets are at grahamelwood.com. And then Sunday, the 12th, we're at the Punchline in Sacramento, California. That's a nighttime show. And then Wednesday, the 15th, Ron and I and our special guest, Jimmy Dore and Steph Zamorano, are going to be performing at Flappers in Burbank. So check that out. And then Lee Camp and I doing Government Secrets live on the 18th. These are the only 4 shows we're doing, man. So check it out. 3 shows with Ron and then the Government Secrets on the 18th. So please go. Tickets are on the scroll right there. You can see it. Boom, 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 boom. Thank you, Kate. So check that out. Oh my God, look behind you. What if just a gargoyle? Grab my neck. That'd be awesome. Matt as Shave Your Knuckles for Justice. How's it feel being back in the mainland? It's awesome. It's great. I love being back in Santa Monica. I'm having a great time seeing friends. Went to a Sparks game last night, which was super fun. Check out my my TikTok. I fully expect that Operation Dynasty Typewriter will come up in the CIA Operation Roulette. Yeah, I'm going to do karaoke. So if you're watching on YouTube, I can't do karaoke on YouTube anymore because I'll get a copyright strike. We will record some of the live shows. Yes. Check that out. So I know those of you who aren't in California. I know it's tough, and we're bummed. Canceling all the October tour dates really sucked. It broke my heart, broke Ron's heart. But these are the 4 shows we're doing, so please come if you can. If you live near and can come in, some people said they're flying in for the shows, which is just awesome. Some people are driving in from Arizona or wherever. Come out; it'd be great to see you. Yeah. So right now, I'm going to end the YouTube stream and go over to rockfin.com/Graham Elwood, where I will sing a karaoke song. So everybody on the YouTube, thank you so much. We're at 191 likes. Let's get the likes up to 200, YouTube. Come on, YouTube. Get it up there. Get it up, YouTube. Get your Operation Easy Chair. Get it up there. Get some resonation in your full cavity or whatever the CIA thing. Hit the like button, YouTube. Hit the like button. There's only 191 likes. Do it. Do 192. Let's get it up to 200. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the like button. Hit the like button. Hit it. 193. You can do it. You can do it. 195. There's only 5 more. In the meantime, go to grahamelwood.com for the 4 shows. 197. Come on. Yeah. Wish I was still in LA, even got vaxxed mostly for the card. Didn't blood clots, so A+ great show today. Thank you so much. 198, 2 more likes. Tune into Rockman. We're going to do karaoke in a couple, just really quick here. So hit the like button, YouTube. I want to see 200 likes. I really want to see it. 2 more likes. 2 more likes, YouTube. YouTube, hit the like button. Boop, 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 boop. 199. There it is. One more. One more. Boom. I'm only seeing. There it is. We did it. Thank you, YouTube. Now go to rockman.com. We'll hope to see you at these live shows, everybody. Have a great weekend. Everybody else, go join us at rockman.com/Graham Elwood right now. Thank you so much, YouTube. Shave your knuckles for justice. What's up, Rock Finnegan?